Cool. Okay, so the first thing, make sure this doesn't happen to you. So make sure that for everyone that's joining us on this training agenda, we've already gotten started. We just looked over the schedule briefly, and now the staff is kind of asking questions. The first question being from Sharon. She asked, she's having difficulty with the Blue Jeans app. So I will follow up with Sharon about, just how we can figure out how to download the app, or at least, have a computer that you can download the app. Because of connectivity issues, it's much better to have the app than access from the browser, especially because all of the participants are going to be accessing it from the browser. So does anyone else not have the Blue Jeans app and is not able to download it? Okay, so Sharon, we'll follow up and figure out what the best case is. If it has to be the browser, it won't be the end of the world, but hopefully we can figure out a way to download that.
Bennett, this is Judy. I just had to unmute. So I only go into Blue Jeans, I go to the calendar and I click on Blue Jeans, or I go into the portal and click on Blue Jeans. So Sharon, you're saying I need to have it as a separate.
My understanding is if you have rooms, you have to have the app to use the rooms.
Okay.
So you can access the live sessions from the browser, but I emailed everyone invite to the session and even highlighted the URL. That URL will direct you to the app. So when you click on that URL, it'll come up on your browser do you want to open the app? And then then you'll open the app. But not only that, but I've created this cheat sheet so that you can just basically open that cheat sheet. It's going to have the link for your session, so you can just click that. So you don't have to go through your calendar. I'd actually recommend probably not doing that, just because it might get confusing. So unless you're 100% sure that it's the right app, I would just use the cheat sheet. You can just click the link that way, and it's clearly listed, this is the moderator URL that you should use. So yeah.
I just want to confirm, this is Amanda. Sharon, are you referring to the rooms, the breakout rooms within one session? Is that what you're referring
Yes.
to?
Yes.
That's not what we're talking about something different then, right, Bennett?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Live sessions.
So we're not doing the breakout rooms within one session. So each program coordinator will have their own session, their own link for their session.
Okay, that's helpful, because the rooms is a little tricky, and I know that we've used it in some of the D&E training and the safe space, but it's, for me, for some reason, the app my computer just doesn't want it, rejects the app. And when I do try to get into the app, it then doubles down and opens not only the app, but the browser. So then I get double whammy of echoes and all sorts of other, and I get thrown out of room. I get thrown out. So I'm trying to make sure that I get in and do the right thing and not mess things up. So that's all.
Yeah, I know it's one of the newer features, and we talked about maybe doing it, but we're not there yet. So maybe for the next one, but for this one, we're just doing the separate links for each session with each program coordinator.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, especially since we're all working remotely, we weren't going to throw a bunch of new information at you, or new features and everything the beginning. So there's really not going to be a lot that you don't already know from using Blue Jeans already. So there may be a few things with reporting that we'll go over, but overall, we're trying to keep it as simplistic and easy to access for you guys as possible.
So just to make sure I understand what you're saying, all the program coordinators will be set different links for that session with their prospective students. Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
And we have not yet received those links. Is that correct?
Yes, you have. But I'm going to send a cheat sheet that has
Okay.
the URL for you and everything. And yeah, like I went ahead and just sent that, so it's like going to show on your calendar 8:45 to 9:15, but you can just absolutely like access it through the cheat sheet that I'll send. I'll send it, today, and then I'll also send it next week as a reminder, and just so you have it available and to access.
Thank you. To be honest, I am so crazed right now that looking at next week is overwhelming. So I haven't even looked at next week's date. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like and it's a very busy time, but that's also like why we're doing it now, because, students are looking at the fall semester and everything. But as most of you, a lot of what we're going to be doing is very similar to what you've done in the past with live sessions. There's not going to be a lot of difference. So I'm going to launch into just the training agenda that I sent. Not every part of it I'm going to read out loud for you guys, so I do recommend that you review it. I'm just going to hit, most of the highlights that you should keep in mind. So let's see. So the first is, about using the BlueJeans app and making sure you have a good connection. This link can actually be used to check your connection, video, audio, and mic. I can't open it because I'm already currently in a BlueJeans session, but click this link, and then you can check to see if it works. A parrot comes up and, kind of goes through the prompts. Now, if you think that, where you're home, at home and everything, if you have bad connectivity issues or anything, if there is another place that you can go that you're safe and comfortable with, I would suggest, going to that location for the duration of the open house. Now, if you don't have a place like that, kind of like me, then I am considering coming to the office, but we'll need to plan that in advance, so we make sure that all staff members are separated, and also be able to decide, based on how many numbers, what the best step is. So I would recommend, if you do have another place that you can go besides the office, I think that's safer. But if you do need to come to the office, please let me know as soon as as soon as the session is done, or this week, so we can kind of start figuring out what that might look like if you do need to come on campus. So let's see. So again, the live sessions are going to be 30 minutes long, and there'll be 15 minutes in between. As the participants enter the session, there's going to be, so their mic and video should be automatically muted. But it may come that, you have to mute them during the presentation or so forth. Everyone that has the link is going to have moderator access, so you'll be able to do that. Let's see. Okay, also, so during it, there'll be different housekeeping. So there's going to be a slide. People will just remind, please mute your video and your audio. And participants are going to be directed to ask their questions in the chat box. This is just for connectivity issues and make sure that everyone's not talking on top of each other, and just to keep it orderly. And also so that we have the chat transcript at the end that kind of says what, everyone asked and so forth. So that can be very helpful. So so the participants are going to be on mute and be directed to ask their questions in the chat box. Okay, so I've kind of listed just what we've gone over so far before the event. Week of the event, checking your connectivity. Honestly, you should probably check it now if you can, just so that we can kind of make arrangements if you do need to go somewhere else during the session. Okay, for the day of the event, check it again. I'll be sending the live cheat sheet, so you have the URL. Now, if you did want to look at the calendar, invite that I sent, let me know if you want me to send that again. The moderator passcode is always going to stay the same. The phone numbers, in case you need to dial out, there's two. Or dial in, excuse me, to dial in, there's two phone numbers. They all remain the same. The moderator passcode remains the same no matter what live session, because I set it up. So Sharon has her own moderator passcode when she creates event. I have 2656. But again, you won't need this if you just use the cheat sheet to click the login, but just note that that's the information that will also be on the cheat sheet for you to use. It's all laid out. I should have also shared that, but honestly, yeah, just yeah. Anyway, and if you have any questions this week, we can work together. Okay, so during the live session, so the non-student panels, it's all pretty much the same. You'll log into the live session. The participants should be muting their mic and video. Let's see. Okay, and then so again, for each live session, there's going to be 2 main people. There may be additional support staff that can jump in or answer certain questions that are directed at the programs that they're assigned to. But for the most part, there'll be 2 main roles: facilitator, because you're all going to have moderator access, so I can't use that term. Facilitator, so this person is going to mainly monitor the chat activity and send the chat reports. And then there'll be a presenter, and this is going to be the larger role. And I'll go over all of this more in detail. So the facilitator, they're going to read the questions out loud for meant for the group discussion. So if someone says, hey, my mic's not working, obviously you don't need to read that question out loud to the group. But if the question is related to, or can be helpful to anyone, then, even technical issues, if it seems like it could by and large be, something that would be beneficial to the group to know, then feel free to ask that question out loud. Once the facilitator reads the question, then most times if it's, meant for just the general group, then the presenter will answer. Now with the facilitator, so they're going to monitor the chat. At the beginning, they'll type in, hi, thanks for joining us. Please mute your audio for the duration of the session. The facilitator will also, if there's any difficulty with audio, they should direct participants to call in. And there's going to be 2 numbers listed on the cheat sheet for that. While video, let's see. Okay, anyway, and then everyone can just kind of monitor for visuals. I have a link so that so that you know how to do that, but basically you'll just click on the chat box, and then if someone is talking, then their mic or their little computer screen is going to turn blue. But again, this link will give you like a visual that. Okay. So you'll be okay. So for the facilitator, you're monitoring the chat, you're muting people. Moderators will also help you with this. If there's answering chat questions, so let me just underline that. So that means, let's say that, again, someone has a very technical issue or they have something that's not going to be beneficial for the group to know. Then you can answer that question. There's also a direct chat option, but again, it's a 30-minute session, so I think that that could be addressed individually with that student after the session. And then the last, I'm sorry. Okay, so facilitator, chat monitoring, basically they'll also provide a 5-minute warning toward the end of the session, just so that all the group's aware that the session is coming to an end. Let's see, at the end of the live session, so this is very important, there's going to be a few different reporting. So similar to at the open house that we have in person, you email Amanda if you accepted or enrolled anyone. So there is some data that we're going to need to capture. So one of the facilitators' roles, just think of it, maybe I should put facilitator chat monitor basically. So at the end of the session, throughout the session, you should note how many attendees that you have, even if they don't stay the whole time. Just basically through the chat, you'll be able to see how many people are on. That number may change at the end. Just go with the highest number because that is the number of participants that actually attended the session. Okay. And so, in addition to monitoring the number of attendees, you'll also be asked to save the chat transcript. So I'm gonna, let's see. All right. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much, but so this one's goes into muting participants. So this isn't all the links, but these are some of the more important ones. This one is going to go into chat, how you can see who enters, and then how you download the meeting chat afterward. In the chat box, so like once you're on this feature, there's a little button at the bottom so that you can actually download text format. You'll save this and you'll send me two things. And again, this is for the facilitator, not the presenter. So whoever's monitoring the chat will, record the number of people that are actually, that attend, and they'll email that to me along with their saved chat transcript. If you're the facilitator over 2 sessions, then you'll send me 2, the number of participants and the number or the chat transcript for each of those sessions. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. So then the other main responsibility is the presenter. So while the facilitator is reading the questions out loud, the presenter will answer questions, and this is if they're directed at everybody. So I have an example. All right, so one of the first sessions is advising with all of the student success coaches. Let's say that Karen is the facilitator, so she's monitoring the chat. There's a question about forensics. So Karen reads the question out loud from the chat, and then Maury will answer. Now, if Karen is the facilitator monitoring the chat, there's a chat question about ATB. In this case, who asked the question and who answers? So Karen's reading the question out loud and is directed at ATB. Should Maury, if he's the presenter, answer the question, or should Karen?
Karen.
Karen. Yeah.
Maury's not going to do a good job answering all the questions.
Maury's like, I know.
Maury's just like, I don't think you want Maury answering that question.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is that it's going to, even though we have like presenter and facilitator, you guys all know what you're doing, and it's going to be obvious like when you're going through it, when who should speak when, I think, but please feel free to like ask any questions along the way. So let's see. So that pretty much goes over everything that you would need as far as the facilitator roles go. So with the presenter, with the exception of the student panel sessions, it's pretty much going to be the same for the presenter. So they're going to vocally welcome participants in the chat while the presenter is typing that information in. Since each slot is just 30 minutes, I suggest starting the session once it is time and there's at least one person in the chat. That way, we can just make sure that we're, getting to as many people as possible. And like I said, it's basically going to just be slides, so they wouldn't miss anything. Anyway, and then let's see. So the presenter, so they're going to welcome people in the room. They're going to share their screen. I've included a link so that you know how to share the screen through the app. I don't recommend showing a video, but if you do want to share a video, there is an option at the bottom that you'll have to click. So like when you click share screen, it's going to give you the option, do you want to share screen, and blank box for you to select share audio, but again, don't recommend doing it. It's only a 30-minute session, and Kate has put together, with you guys' help, tons of videos on the website that are directed at, the programs and student testimonials and so forth. So I don't think we need, an additional video, and it may slow down the connection and just add an additional responsibility that may not be necessary for this time, but maybe we would explore this more in the future. So the presenter, welcome participants in the room, share the screen, record, start and stop. So for the most part, academic program rooms, I would assume that the program coordinator would want to be the presenter over this, as they'll be like answering questions. So let's say that Maury is the facilitator, Judy is the presenter. Well, actually, those two probably wouldn't be together, would they? So let's say that Maury is the facilitator.
Love you dearly, Maury.
Bye. Yeah, and I was like, that's more
No,
Rachel.
you too,
But yeah, so let's say that Maury is facilitating, so he's monitoring chat, and Carolyn, and it's Carolyn's session, and there's a question about forensic accounting. Again, this is going to come through the chat. They'll ask the question about forensic accounting. Maury will read it out loud. If it's addressed about, let's say something like with advising, then, probably Maury would answer that question. But by and large, in the academic program room, so similar to the ballroom, most questions will just be answered by the program coordinator. So the program coordinator during the academic session, that's the only one that would have any moderator duties for. You'll be welcoming participants, you'll be sharing your screen, and then the last and very important part is that you'll be recording the video. I think I'm just going to put a sticky note on the side of my screen so that I just remember to hit record immediately when I'm the presenter. And so some of you, enrollment counselors and student success coaches, you may be presenters on the advising live session or steps. Again, I'll send out a program responsibility, or I'm sorry, just different responsibilities for each of the live sessions after this. It's pretty clear cut, but, again, please let me know if you have any questions, because, I'm just, it makes sense to me, but it may not, to someone else. So yeah, so the presenter needs to start and be able to stop their recording. And so at the end, while you're still in the, no, I'm sorry. Okay, so I got a little ahead of myself. Okay, well, this is going to go over saving the chat transcript. So that's one of the facilitator responsibilities. So you'll be sending the chat transcript and the number of attendees. The presenter will be sending the recording. And so the recording should go to Kate. You'll be able to just in the chat. So unlike the facilitator, the chat report has to be accessed while they're still in the session. With any of the presenters, you just record, start, stop. And then after the session, you can actually go into the BlueJeans browser. I'm not sure if the app works for this. I just usually use the browser. But you'll be able to click on the session. So all of it's going to be listed and then view it. So I'll bring that up. Because that's not something all of us probably have done before, so that might be worth going over. But again, there's going to be a link sent. Oh, actually, I already have it brought up. So anyway, so this is going to go over starting and stopping. So you might not be able to.
Welcome to the BlueJeans tutorial on me.
Can you guys hear it? It's okay if you can't. Oh, okay, cool. So
it includes, you can access the recording within your BlueJeans.
Okay, so this.
Tab. To watch your meeting, click on it, and it will play right within your browser. To share your recording, first, select who can have access under sharing settings.
You're going to select open access.
You can share your recording by copying a link, emailing a link, downloading the video file. If you'd like viewers to be able to download the recording, to check the Allow Viewers to Download box. Sharing. Some of the features described in this tutorial are part of our...
Okay. So that briefly goes over, but obviously you can, listen to the whole thing. But yeah, so you'll just be able to, the presenter is just going to be able to go to, click the recordings tab and just pull it up, their recording, and then you'll send that to Kate. I'd also recommend, you don't have to download it, but you're more than welcome. But the URL that you're going to send to Kate, so under the chat box, you're going to select open access. That way, Kate's able to share that publicly. Kate, do you have anything you want to add about that?
Nope, just don't forget to do it, please. We're going to be sending the website out to students who aren't able to join the live sessions, like to market the event kind of after it's happened. And so we're going to be plugging those recordings into the website. So it's incredibly important that you guys record these. So don't forget.
Yeah. So I would recommend, like, as soon as the whole open house is over, or soon as, you're done with your responsibilities and everything, please email me your chat transcript that you'll have to, access while you're still in the session. So make sure that you're saving that before you exit the session if you're a facilitator. And then you'll send me the total number of people that attended. The presenter, on the other hand, is, sharing their screens, saving the recording, and they should email this to Kate. And I've also included a reminder at the bottom. So if you're like, okay, what is that again? Facilitators, email Bennett, chat transcript, total numbers, presenters, email Kate. Let's see. Yeah, does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, great. Thank you. So at the end, so that goes for pretty much all of the live sessions that we covered. Now with the student panel, it's going to be a little bit differently, because instead of a staff or faculty answering the majority of the questions, the students are going to be. So there's a slight difference between presenter and facilitators. We're still going to ask you to record it. We're still going to ask you to, monitor how many people attended and send us the chat transcript. But what will happen is a little bit different. So with the presenter, so in the other sessions, the facilitator, the chat monitor is reading the questions out loud, just so that it flows more smoothly. In this instance, the presenter they're going to read out like a set of prepared questions, but then they're also going to monitor the chat insofar as they're going to see if there's any basic questions that are directed at the panelists. So let's say that, so if it's a question that's directed at the panelists, then the presenter, will read it out loud, and then the panelists will answer. Let's say there's a case where there's a chat question and it's like, I can't get my blue jeans to work, or, what have you. Obviously, the presenter would not read that question out loud because it's not meant for the panelists. So in this case, the facilitator would answer that question. And all of the other things remain the same. We'll still expect time keeping, answer any chat questions, technical or individualized. If it is something completely out of your realm, let's say, we're going to have someone that's monitoring the SUO inquiry inbox for the event. So especially with student success coaches, you may get a text like, hey, I'm not able to access the website. I really hope that doesn't happen, but I anticipate, different issues possibly coming up that I want us to be prepared for. So let's say that, a student success coach gets the chat like, yo, I can't access the website or something like that. Ask them to email SUO inquiry, and then they should be able to assist them, or at the very least, we'll be able to know that the timestamp of 9:45, they're trying to access the event and they can't. So, we would take that into consideration as far as coding the $250 discount. But hopefully that's not even going to be a case, but just note that, for any students that are having trouble accessing the website, we'll have the option of emailing SUO inquiry. Let's see. Okay, so that's honestly that's everything I was going to go over. But I'll have a couple follow-up items real quickly. But first, does anyone have any questions?
Did you already send out, Bennett, a list of who are the facilitators at each of the sessions, and did I just not read that yet?
No, that's one of the emails you have not received from me. So I thought it might be better to just send it after I've explained who the presenters, who the facilitators are. So after this session, I'm going to send the cheat sheet that's going to have your URLs. I'm going to send the program responsibilities, the live session responsibilities. As far as the academic program rooms, I want to leave like a little bit of freedom for the program coordinators to to decide how they want to do that. So for you, Judy, I'm seeing, let's see what.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I just want to know who I'm looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to say who it is, and I recommend meeting up with them, make sure that you have each other's, contact information, and then decide who wants to be the presenter, who wants to be the facilitator. I would assume that most program coordinators are going to the larger speaking role, just because a lot of the questions will be directed at them, but you'll also have a staff member, or three, and maybe, that are monitoring the chat and just making sure that technical questions are getting answered. Addressed.
Thanks.
LB, are we having 2 separate rooms for forensics?
Yes, yeah, we are. So similar to how we did it in January, forensic science and CSI is going to be taken by Dr. J, and then there'll be a separate session with Carolyn for all the other programs.
Bennett, I have a question. So are we ever going to do an actual run through, like a live run through of this, to make sure we really all do know what we're doing?
Yeah, you could definitely organize that with people like in your live session if you wanted to do so. But if you do want to take some time to go over it, we can schedule a meeting to do that. I'm totally open to it. So if you go through the videos and you still kind of want to just go over, more of like the technical aspects, again, like these questions are pretty much going to be in the chat feature, and then there'll be people answering. So we're not going to know what those questions are ahead of time, because it's going to depend on the participants. But if you need to go over kind of like the technical aspects of it, we can schedule a meeting. Or if you think, or if anyone else wants to do that as well, just email me and we'll pick a time to just like run through it together.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think to go off of what Bennett is saying, I think, the most important thing to do is just to sit down and look at who is assigned with, as like the moderator, the different roles that have been assigned for each session, and then just to connect with one another and to kind of figure out maybe how you guys would loosely want to structure your conversations, how you want to handle that. We're leaving that up to all of you guys to kind of figure out amongst yourself. But like Bennett said, she, myself, we'd be happy to be support for you guys to answer any questions that you might have prior to the event.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with these factories, recording your video and everything. If you have any questions about those elements, everything else should be similar to how you always conducted a Blue Jeans session, but those two parts are different.
This is Maggie. I have a question. Ooh, I feel like there's a lot of feedback. I know that Amanda asked me to monitor the SUO inquiry inbox during the event. I was just wondering if there's anyone else doing it with me, or if I should kind of like take charge and ownership of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that Amanda had to sign off at 10:40, so you're 9 minutes late.
Sorry. I'll just email her and include all you guys.
Well, I would say that, like, I don't know. I can't remember what we discussed, so let me follow up with you after I talk
Okay,
to you.
sure.
We did hope that there would be at least 2 people,
Right.
But again, as long as they're able to access the live session, then the facilitator should handle like any technical questions. But if it's an instance of they're not able to access the website, which we don't anticipate happening, but if they're not able to, then they can be routed to SUO inquiry, and we're going to communicate that information to students next week. So no individual has to do that. We're just going to be like, hey, yay, you're coming to this session. If you have any issues, at the bottom we'll have SUO inquiry box. But I think 2 people would be really good. So we'll see what we can do about that.
Okay, thanks, Bennett.
Yep. Anybody else?
I do have one thing to add. Amanda asked me to share. This is mostly for the enrollment counselors and the student success coaches. The website will be available for people to log on to about 15 minutes before 8 a.m. So, for those of you guys who are kicking off the live sessions, you guys want to be set up Bennett, so student success coaches and enrollment counselors, by 7:30, since people can log in as early as 7:45. Program coordinators, I would also recommend for your sessions for you guys to log in a couple minutes early, just so you can make sure that the PowerPoint that has, your photo and programs listed and whatnot is up. So when people sign in, they can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Making sure that, your computer doesn't have a bunch of, programs open, anything like that. You'll just want the Blue Jeans app opened and, what you may be sharing your, which is actually a great transition to Kate. So she's going to be going over, just some best practices. Well, I'll let you, Kate, decide what you want to do with the time. Sorry, it ran long. So as far as the website and best practices and stuff. So I'll let Kate take over from here. I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you guys so much.
All right, I'm going to try to show this fairly quickly. I just wanted to share with you guys, number one, the website, so you guys can take a look at it. It really, the day of the sessions, this really isn't going to be super important to you unless you want to direct people to different pages. But obviously, it's really nice to be able to take a peek at, I guess, what is being housed. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Virtual open house. Okay, so here is our website. So we have tried to put in as much static content as possible. Like Bennett said, some of the people who are signing in may not sign into live sessions at all. They may take in the static content created, or they may just jump in for one session and then check out the content otherwise. We tried to make sure that there's enough information that some of the nitty-gritty that people might want to get into on your calls, you can direct them to our other pages if that's not, something that you want to necessarily answer during the session. So we're opening up with kind of a promotional video about Stevenson, a welcome from Lee, and then also an admissions video from Amanda. Over here on the side, we have an apply now, so people can go ahead and start their application, and also the schedule of our live sessions. Down here is kind of where the important stuff goes, live sessions. So it's very, very easy. We've tried to give as much information as possible. The student can just, or participant can just click watch the live session. It will take them to that unique link. And then we've also added in the dial-in information and the meeting code. So if they are having audio problems, they have it just right here on the page. So same thing with advising, admissions, program coordinators. We are trying to kind of make your programs as apparent as possible so people won't be confused as to what session to go into. We have the programs that you guys represent listed multiple times throughout the website so people can figure that out. So again, they'll click this watch live session. It will open it up in their browser. They will be there in your meeting. We also have Meet Our Team, which has lovely photos of you all, and then the programs that you represent listed. Same with admissions. We have your programs listed, and advising. At the bottom of every single page, we also have testimonials. We tried to set it up so we have 3 masters, 2 bachelors, and a certificate testimonial. So, people can take a look at this and see what graduates and other students have to say about SUO. Master's programs, there's PowerPoints that I was having program coordinators look at, and I think everybody else as well. This is where folks can go to figure out information. So in your live session, if somebody's asking you, what courses do I need to take for BTM? You don't really need to go into that if you don't want to. You can just direct them to the master's page, and then it'll pull up the video, and it has program concentrations, your courses that you need to take, admissions requirements, and then also the team members who represent that program. So we're trying to give people as much information as they can possibly get within the static content of the website. We'll do the same for bachelor's programs. We're still working on loading those videos up, and certificate programs, we have them all lumped in together. But again, we've just tried to make it as in-depth as possible. And that's not opening up. And then here's our testimony. And then it'll also drive them to the web pages for these certificate programs. Same with the master's programs. If you click learn more about our program, drive people to the website. Partnerships, lovely video from Jamie talking all about partnerships. And so if you guys in your sessions are talking to people and like Judy, that somebody's with a partner, healthcare or hospital, you can always direct them to this page if that comes up. Resources, Jenna recorded a test drive and online course so people can see what Blackboard looks like. Kim submitted a video for credit for prior learning. We got something from Career Connections and Students Accounts as well. So again, if people are having a lot of questions, you can always direct them to resources or any of these other pages in the website. And then survey. Our survey is very important to us. It's where obviously we get feedback, and folks who complete the survey get the $250 scholarship to their first class in the fall. So during the live sessions, you guys can encourage people to go and complete the survey for us. Now, one of the things that we mentioned during the call are these PowerPoints that you guys will be sharing during your live sessions. So I wanted to share those with you. So we've created very similar ones for admissions and advising. So I'm going to be making these available to all of you guys on the OneDrive. So for admissions, advising is very similar. So I'll just show you the admissions one. We have everyone's photo and their contact information. This is the page that we would like to be up. So when people sign into the session, they'll be able to see this. So now they can see the faces of who they're going to be speaking to. We have a slide with the programs that each of those individuals represents. We have some housekeeping tips, just letting people know the session is a half an hour long. Your video and audio is muted, what to do if you have questions, and then also the dial-in and the meeting code. So if people are having audio problems, they have that information available to them. For admissions, we have the fall 2020 dates. I don't have that on the advising slideshow. Advising, so student success coaches, if there's an additional slide that you would like added or included to yours, please let me know. I can share that presentation with you guys again. And then also to close out, a thank you, and then encouraging people to go and complete the survey. So if you want to kind of rearrange these however you want, feel free. If you guys want to add additional slides, feel free. This is to everybody. Just if you do add anything, make sure you let me know so I can go in and just make sure that it's formatted consistently. So we imagine you would start off with this slide. You can kind of figure out where you want to put this, go over the housekeeping tips, then go fully into your session, and then just as you close out the session, you can share the thank you. Program coordinators. This is, I'm picking on Lee since he's not here, but I have one of these for all of our program coordinators. So it has your name, your title, your photo, email address. If you would like your phone number included, please let me know. And then the programs that you represent. So then if I sign on to Lee's and I see, oh no, I wanted to be in BTM, I know that right off from the start, and I can leave that and go into, Steve's session. Housekeeping, which is the same as all of the other ones. So we figure you guys can start with this, and then again, closing out just to thank you and encouraging people to complete the survey. So my goal, what I'm going to do is make these available to all of you on the OneDrive. I'm also going to include the program sheet together, those PDFs. So if somebody, wants more information and you maybe want to email them or send them the program sheet right then and there, you'll have that available to you in that same OneDrive. If there's anything else that you guys might want me to include for sharing, maybe, that program PowerPoint or whatever, just let me know, and I'll also make sure available to you. So you guys have all the material that you need. Any questions?
On the admission sheet page, the fourth page, the dates are backwards.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Okay.
Should be
I'll fix that.
October 25th and October 26th start.
Okay. Okay. Let's just fix it right here. So then just one last thing I wanted to talk about is, I guess appearance for the presentations. Unfortunately, now our homes are the place that we're doing this, and so we want to just try to make ourselves kind of look as good and as professional as we can. So I had Angel put together this little infographic, which I think Bennett emailed to you, and she will also email it out. Just a couple of tips for how to make yourself and your setting look as good as possible for the presentation. I think the biggest things to think about is just lighting. You want to have the light in front of you, not behind you. You can see if you are sitting at your computer right now and you have a big window behind you, your face is dark. We really want you to be well illuminated. You can accomplish that by, sitting in front of a window or having your light source in front of you. I have a light above me, which is making my forehead, send out a glow. So you also maybe don't want your light above you as in front of you. Thinking about your background, just cleaning up kind of what's behind you. I think sometimes having an entirely blank background is also not effective. It's kind of distracting when there's nothing to look at. So if you have, if a blank wall is your best place to sit, maybe just hang a picture over your shoulder or something that you can have there temporarily. Also, I was on a call the other day and somebody had a ceiling fan kind of going, and it almost looked like their head was getting cut off. So there's just little things like that you just want to think about as you're setting up your space. Same with camera angle. If you guys peep at Sharon and at Laura, you see that their cameras are a little bit, and so instead of getting that kind of like below the chin and nose shot, we're getting to like look at them a little bit from above. You want to think about that as well. Whether that's, finding a box laying around your house and just propping your computer up on a box. I have a little step stool that sometimes when I have meetings, I put my computer on, just to balance it up. So instead of you looking down at your camera is looking down at you. And then eliminating distractions. I think everybody has been successful with this for a cause, but just making sure that, dogs, kids that are, I guess, for lack of a better way, put away, put away, just to make sure that those distractions aren't there. You guys have been doing enough of these calls that you kind of know how it goes, but if you guys can just keep some of these tips in mind, they're going to be emailed out to you when you guys set yourself up for the call. That would be helpful. And that might mean that, you're setting up in a corner that you're not usually set up in, and you have to put yourself in a temporary space. That's fine if it just helps to kind of make us look a little bit more professional. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask.
Okay, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
We did have a question. Sorry, I know it's about time to go, but Maury asked, are we wearing our SUO polos? I had given this some thought. Do you think it would be better for them to wear the polos or to, just wear professional dress, or just leave it up to individuals? What do you think would be better for sessions?
I think that could be left up to the individuals. I think whatever you're comfortable with, when in doubt, put on the polo. But, I think if you just want to wear another polo or a nice shirt, I think that would be fine. I would say, ladies, if you do wear a tank top, just be cognizant of maybe bra straps that start to slide down your shoulders, like little things like that. I know that, you don't want to be on a call kind of hiking your clothing up. So, but I think, whatever you feel most comfortable in is fine. All right.
Kate, quick question. So, wow, that was a lot of feedback. I'm looking at myself in the screen. I look like a little pinhead. Do I look like a pinhead to you guys? I'm just trying to figure out if I look tiny. I've got this little tiny head.
I don't think you look like a pinhead.
Okay, just checking because I know, appearances matter, but I just don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And I would say that you have pretty good lighting on yourself as well in terms of being illuminated, that we're not looking at dark shadows or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
So if there are no more questions, Bennett, is there anything else that you need to say to wrap things up? Because I'm all done.
Nope.
Can I
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to compliment you guys for this incredible amount of work that you've done. The website is amazing. I was sitting looking at the live website while you were showing it to us, and it's just so much work. And I'm so glad this is something that should stay there forever. Really well done. Brava. I mean, brava. Super, super job.
Thank you. Yeah, we're hoping that this will be another option for us now for open houses. And, the good thing is that the content's now been created. So we'll be able to use it moving forward. And hopefully hopefully all of you guys could use some of the videos and information when you guys have other sessions, meetings, and whatnot. So thank you. All right. Well, I guess we'll call it. If anybody else has any questions, again, just feel free to reach out to myself, Bennett, Funmi. We've all been working on this together, so we'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And Bennett will be sending out all of that other information that you guys can use as reference points. And again, just encourage you to connect with the people who are going to be in your session and kind of figure out how you want to structure things, and maybe do a dry run through like Fran had requested. So, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Great work. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.